Good morning, YouTube. Louie here, and today's video is going to be a message to get your house in order. Now, you may be asking, what do I mean by that? It isn't going to be the typical buy silver and gold now before the end of the fiat currency system. Okay, you get plenty of that on YouTube. Actually, I think we get too much of that. I think you have to take a holistic view to your life and why it is you're trying to protect yourself, what it is you're trying to protect, and how to set yourself up for success. The way to do that is not to go 100% in with everything you have on silver and gold. And I get that question so often that you almost have to go back in time to explain why it is that putting all your money in precious metals does not protect you. It's the concept of diversification, but that's an abstract concept. When you do something with your money, you're foregoing doing something else with it. When you pull all your money, for example, out of the stock market and buy, several monster boxes of Eagles, you're foregoing appreciation that may happen. When you lock in your stack at a certain price, and then you're waiting for it to go back up in value, you have to realize it is not a short-term gain. And although we've had periods where there have been short-term gains, where you could have bought silver at 20 and sold it at 30 all day long over the course of maybe a year. By the same token, you could have bought Bitcoin at 40,000 and sold it at 70,000 at certain points in time. You have to prepare yourself for the dip. All right, and dips do happen, and they happen to silver primarily because of this argument between monetary metal versus industrial commodity. And most of the world considers silver an industrial commodity. We stackers, I would say probably 90% of stackers, see silver as our founders did. I have a nice book of Franklin half dollars here, which I'll flip through in a minute. It's not too hard. Our founders saw silver as a monetary metal and backed the system by it, just like the Spanish did and just like the British did. And of course, when they stopped doing that, our currency suffered and the purchasing value of our dollar suffered. But most of the world sees silver as a commodity. I personally think that commodity is underpriced right now, but anything can happen to commodities in a recession or maybe a depression. Pardon me, I needed some coffee. And we have to recognize that you need to get your whole house in order, not just your monetary house in order. Okay, so that's why I do get the comment all the time. Why not, if you believe in silver and gold so much, why don't you take everything you've got and put it into silver and gold? Why don't you sell your stocks, your bonds, take all your free cash, mortgage your house, and go all in? Well, if you're really lucky and you want to bet the ranch, I guess you can do that. But I personally have not seen that work. All right, you have to recognize that if you had come out of the stock market several years ago, and I'm not talking about right now. Right now we are getting a dip, and it's going to continue, in my opinion. I think it's going to be a shockingly large reduction in the price of most assets. But if you had done that a few years ago and taken all your money out of the stock market and sat in cash or bought silver at $17, $18, Yes, you would be up $5 on silver, but you would have waited out an appreciation in your stock. Of course, you know that is cyclical as well, and that has come off now. But deciding to go all in on precious metals makes you a slave to precious metals. And I know that sounds counterintuitive because you think that the fiat currency is making us a slave. But there are times in this world where you want to be agile. You want to have your house in order. You need to be ready to act at the next opportunity. Again, if you're all in on silver and gold, and you don't have any spare cash, and 2 years ago when silver went to $12, granted you couldn't buy, any bullion at that price, but if you didn't have any cash available when you could have bought, silver at $16 or $18 or Eagles at 19 or 20, you sat out that entire ride down and did nothing. The same thing with the stock market. If you were all in the stock market prior to that last dip a couple years ago, when stock, the Dow hit 20,000, you had nothing to redeploy. The same thing in the real estate market. If you were all in with all your assets into whatever you believed in, comic books, classic cars, anything, and then the real estate market takes a 50% dump, and don't think it can't happen again. Personally, I'm predicting 20, but who knows? You would not have assets to deploy to pick up some of the best bargains of our generation. I mean, you realize how cheap housing was in 2009, right around that time. People have made a fortune deploying liquid assets at market bottoms and then waiting for the tops. But unlike conventional, recommendations to never sell, there's a time to sell. There's a time to sell silver and gold. There's a time to sell real estate. There's a time to sell stocks. If you know anything, if you follow my channel at all over the last decade, you know that I believe in being agile. But sometimes, we sabotage ourselves by believing so strongly and then getting reinforcement from the channels or people that we trust that we're doing the right thing, that we actually do too much of the right thing. All right, so I hope I'm trying to make that clear. And I would not underestimate the power of our government and world governments to manipulate the system in order to forestall what it is that virtually every channel on YouTube, myself included, has predicted, which is financial Armageddon and reset. Well, what if there ain't financial Armageddon and reset? And what if all your money is in silver and gold? And what if it languishes here, in the low 20s, maybe it goes to 23 or 25? What if it stays there for 2 years? You miss the bottom of the crash in the stock market or Bitcoin or whatever it is that you're interested in, and you're sitting on your big pile of silver and gold and waiting while you watch your neighbors benefit from being liquid. All right, so that's why I don't go all in on silver and gold. I mean, hell, I'm 64 years old, and I need to be able to retire. And I don't think silver and gold is going to provide for my full retirement. I think it's got to be the stock market or the bond market or other investments over time as our country gets past this period. But was I invested, in Dow, 37,000 or whatever it got up to. No, I had my money out before that. I actually had it out too long before that and sat out a great deal of that appreciation. Again, due to dogmatic, reinforced thinking that things are going to fall apart immediately. So I'm kind of talking out of both sides of my mouth here, but you've got to spread your risk. Spread your risk into, definitely 10, 15% silver, gold, because if the reset happens, then you'll get even. Okay, you'll be right where you were beforehand. But also, you need a place to live, all right? Also, you need to be able to invest in energy, right? I'm working quite a bit on my solar panels and my backup batteries, and I'm starting to work on my water usage. Because recognize that these threats are coming from all around you. They will probably come from your local city, government, province, whatever, raising the cost of everything. And you preppers all know that you want to be stockpiled on your food and supplies and non-perishables as well, because those prices are definitely going up. But you have to be ready for anything that happens, and I really highly recommend, let me see if I can get these Franklins out here. I mean, Benjamin Franklin, I don't want to bump my camera. There's some Franklins there for you to look at. You can widen out now. The United States of America would likely not exist if not for this individual, Benjamin Franklin. Okay, you know what he was? Not only a founder, and also very influential in the formation of the country, but during the Revolutionary War, Benjamin Franklin was pragmatic. Benjamin Franklin, some people thought that he was actually absurd because he would do whatever it takes to ensure the success of his plan. In this case, it was the formation of a brand new nation. Let's see if we can get the Liberty Bell here anywhere. Oh, well, upside down Liberty Bell. He would do whatever it takes. You know what he was doing while everybody was fighting, valiantly dying to break free from the British? He was over in France in a coonskin cap, acting like Daniel Boone because it amused the French. Why was he doing that? Why was he not out fighting with George Washington and other brave founders? Because he knew that we could not win the war against the British without France's help. All right, so he went to France. He seduced their royalty. He acted the buffoon. He did whatever was necessary to garner France's support in the Revolutionary War against England. And if not for this individual, we probably wouldn't have gotten the money. We probably wouldn't have gotten the military support. And we probably would have lost the battle. We'd all still be English over here. But I bring that up because he's somebody that I greatly respect. People can call you crazy. You can go against the norm. You don't need to be a hardcore, all-in, silver to the moon stacker. You need to be pragmatic and nimble. And I hope for that reason, like Benjamin Franklin, you're doing what's necessary, which is not going all in on silver and gold. It is raising cash. It is securing your property and your family. It is prepping. It is preparing to grow food and protein, if you can do such a thing. It is getting ready to take advantage of the 90%. All right, 90% of people will suffer in the upcoming recession/depression. 10% of people will thrive. Who are the 10%? They're the ones that have their wits about them and who are preparing in advance to take advantage of what happens in the future. And I hope that's you, and I hope that's a good explanation of why it is I'm not 100% in on gold and silver. Okay, so on to the markets. We've had what I would consider a bear cat rally in the stock market. I think it will resume its trend down. I don't think we're at the bottom because all the indicators point to the economy turning down, the labor market turning down. Now that may give us a little bit of reprieve from the Fed's rate hiking. I actually don't think rates will go much higher than where they are right now. For that matter, that's why I'm putting a lot of my 401k into short-term bonds. Paying 3-4%, but it is really key, especially you younger guys, if you have assets. It is really key to keep your money working for you. Here, let's take a look at the other side. Do you guys know who's on the other side of this round? This is a 1 pound 999 silver round, just beautiful, which I inherited from my brother-in-law who recently deceased. A pound of silver is not a pound, it's 12 troy ounces, just so you know, so you don't get ripped off when you buy something like this. But yeah, now I've completely lost my train of thought. I'm sorry. So the markets, I do believe the general markets are headed lower, potentially much lower. I still think Bitcoin is headed lower, much lower. In regard to silver, commodities have rolled over. If you've moved all your money into commodities, be very careful, because that is not going to protect you. Yes, there may be a super cycle, but commodities are crashing right now. If you take a look at nickel, you saw what happened. The thing we all hoped would happen to silver, stratospheric, 4 times increase in the price of nickel. Well, there are powers in this world that will not let that happen, just like there are powers that will smash silver the next time it makes a run. It will eventually go back up because they can't keep it below the price of production, and we need it desperately in our world. But commodities are rolling over, and I think oil is going to roll over as well. So those that have moved into commodities thinking they're safe from the stock market crash are honestly going to get destroyed. And believe me, because I've done it. All right. I owned oil the last time it was $100 a barrel. Well, it may not have been the last time, but we thought it would just keep going up, and people bring those prices back down. Governments bring those prices back down. Bank manipulators bring those prices back down because commodity inflation makes the government look bad. Silver and gold appreciation make the government look bad, and do not underestimate how powerful they are. They are extremely powerful, and yes, they're burning the value of the dollar, but sometimes a good old dollar can come in really handy if you're nimble with it. So I think we're headed here for the doldrums for a little while for silver, and we could get that spike down to 20 or below as commodities crash and people view silver as a commodity. I think the long term is still very positive, but the biggest appreciation usually comes, or sometimes comes, after the biggest crashes. So that's when, all the banks cover their shorts. They say thank you very much for all the money you stackers donated to the silver manipulation project. And then they run it back up. Okay, they get rich. I hope you get rich too on the next run back up. But they're always out there ready to smack it back down, because that's how they get paid. We invest in silver and gold. All of those of us that, paid $35 an ounce for silver, well, that when they smack it down, everything we paid goes into the manipulator's pockets. All right, then it gets back down to 20, or who you pick your number, and then they let it run up again. People overpay, they smack it back down again. They all get their Wall Street bonuses and a slap on the back from BlackRock, the Federal Reserve, the president, whoever is, telling them what to do. And then they let it go again. But they can't let it stay below the cost of production. And the cost of production is increasing. So like I said earlier in the week, if you see Keith Neumeyer telling you he's got to lay people off and stop exploration, that is a signal that we're getting close to that number. But it doesn't mean we couldn't go below it. It just means that when we go below it, it'll be temporary. And that's, again, why you want to have some cash handy. All right, guys, I think that's all I wanted to say. I hope you guys have a wonderful weekend. And as always, I will see you next week. And keep stacking. Bye.